So in this video today, I'm going to show you one of the masterful ways in which Jacob Collier was able to modulate, to change key from the key of D to the key of E flat using one essential, you got to know this one essential key, circle of fifths. But it's the way in which he uses it, which is just, it's truly masterful. It's amazing. It's amazing. So we're going to be looking at the verse, the second verse, halfway through. We're in the key of D as a reference point. So it goes a little something like this. Keep your head together and call my name out loud. Oh, and soon you'll hear me knocking at your door. Check it out. You just call out my name. And he's in E flat, and you know, etc., etc. So, did you hear how quick? Now, I'll be honest, it was very quick. It was very quick, but there's very much a kind of, back and forth sound, which is a big giveaway in terms of this idea of circle of fifths, moving from back and forth. So check it out. When we think about what Jacob's doing here, so to start off with, so you got this half diminished chord, which kind of sets up this idea of using fifths. Let me show you this. So ultimately, we're in the world of D. These are our fundamental notes from the D major scale. So we're going to keep your head together and call. So we're ultimately going to this B minor, and we're using an option, what we call a 2-5-1, in the context of B minor. And I say the context because ultimately we're going to this as our destination. So yes, we're in the key of D, but we're taking an idea from the world of B minor, looking at the harmonic minor scale. So with using what we would call a 2-5-1, we're using circular fifths, and I'll show you why. So the first chord we have is a C sharp, and we're going to get to that later. We're actually going to look at the chord that comes just before the B minor, which is a fifth away. Look at the scale of this harmonic B minor scale. The fifth note is F sharp even, and that F sharp is going to lend itself perfectly in relation to this scale. Yeah, that A sharp right there. So that's the 5 of our destination. And then if we just take it a step further, now this is how I like to think about it. Ultimately, yes, in the key of this harmonic minor, so the second is going to be our C sharp. That's fine. But interestingly enough, that is also the 5th away from our destination of the first passing chord, which we had going before our B minor. So it's our F sharp, a 5th away. So it's just very interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got essentially 2 fifths happening, and what we'd refer to in relation to this B minor scale would be a 2, 5, 1, but they're all 5th intervals. That one is a 5th away from this one, which is a 5th away from this one. Yeah, and it will be even clearer if I play it like this. So that C sharp is the 5 of F sharp, and that F sharp is a 5 of B. Yeah, B minor. So keep your head together. So as you can see, we're kind of introducing this idea of this 2-5, and then we've got this. So keep your head together and call. So Jacob goes really high there. My name out loud. Now that's a super nice chord. So we've got this kind of B minor going to this F sharp, sus, or you can think about it like a minor 9. Very nice, very nice. But interestingly enough, once again, that F sharp represents a 5th before. So we've got a lot of like this idea of, a 5th away is pretty strong in this section. So we've got kind of, the passing chord options. If you want to think about passing chords, you've got the option of using a 5th away. That's always a good option to know. And that's going to often be a very strong relationship in terms of 5 moving from like a 5th away from your destination. It sounds very complete to go from here to here. Very complete. That's a 5 away from that B minor. So a lot of fifths happening. So keep your head together and call my name out loud. Then he does this. And soon. Now that passing chord right here, if interesting enough, because we had call my name out loud. He changed it from a minor to a major. Now, if you think about it, for the next passage, and soon you hear me knocking, go into that E minor. Surprise, surprise, that passing chord works perfectly in terms of this destination of E minor. What's the harmonic minor scale of E? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, we've got a fifth away from our destination. So that's where that transition, rather than going from a minor and call my name, and call my name out loud, passing, going from our fifth away from where we're going to next, which is our E minor. So as you can see, circular fifths are everywhere. So I'll just break it down really slowly for you. So keep your head together. That's our 2, 5, 1 in a B minor. And call my name, fifth away from that B minor, out loud. And we change it to our major, which is the 5 of where we're going. And soon you'll hear me knocking at your door. Now it's about to get interesting. I'll show you the passing chords Jacob uses. He goes. Now I want to look at this last chord, this B flat sus, in the scale of E flat, which is our destination. And this is a really, really good way to be able to change key, you know, going up a semitone. Like, this is super helpful. This is like a stock approach that you can use. So in the key of E flat, the fifth away is the B flat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we have a sus chord, a suspended chord, which is going to take us ultimately to you just call. So that's a 5, 1. So we've landed in a good place here. However we got there, and I'll show you how Jacob did get there. We're in a good place because we've got this 5 to establish the new key of E flat. That's perfect. Now let's backtrack a little bit. So if I go back to D, and soon you'll hear me knocking. Actually, it's coming at the end of the verse, the second verse, at your door. Interesting enough, he's finishing on a 5 chord. He does a suspended, like a sus form, and then he does this: D, G, C sus, F sus, and then B flat sus. Yeah, he's using those ideas, those kind of chords. Now, why does that work perfectly? Well, let's look at this idea of circle of fifths. We're finishing on our A, and soon you hear me knocking at your door. So a fifth away from that A, that 5 represents the 5 of D. Now think about the D. The D is the 5 of G. So we move from our A, we've got a D and a G. Now the 5 away from G is going to be our C. So now we've got A, D, G, C. Then the 5 away, and then the C represents the 5 of F. So now we've got A, D, G, C, F. And then finally, this F is the 5 away from B flat. So we've got A, D, G, C, F, B flat. And then finally, this B flat is going to represent the 5 of our key, that with our destination key, which is E flat. That is amazing. And he's putting certain chords. I would think about it like this. So coming out of that A, you got this suspended chord. We've got a major on the D. Our G is major. Then for the C, we're going to go into the world of a sus chord. And I'll explain a sus chord in terms of how to create it. Then a sus chord on the F. And then a sus chord on the B flat. Yeah. So a sus chord can be created as such. Let me just change to the key of E flat, because ultimately that's where we're going to be going to. So if we want to create a sus chord, what we're going to do, simply put, on the right hand, we're going to utilize the fact that we've got a C, go up an octave and go down a tone, and play a major of that respective note. So it'd be a B flat major chord on the right hand with a C on the left hand. It's a very open sound, not quite major, not quite minor. It's 2 chords put together. So we have a major chord here with our C note. So ultimately, you could think about it it is a major chord ultimately, but the fact that you have a C in the bottom, we've got 2 worlds coming together. A C note as a foundation, which is a 5. Well, not necessarily actually, it depends what context you're in, but you've got a C note, a destination note you could call it, or a root note, and you've got this major chord kind of dancing on the top. It's like a hug when you put these together. The B flat on its own, that's very concrete, that's very clear, that's very established. But with the C, that's more open. That is really more open. Yeah. And as he's moving through the world of E flat, it kind of makes sense to kind of utilize these kind of open sounding chords. If it was, say, just minor, so for example, say we had and soon you hear me knocking at your door. So say I went major, major, minor, minor, and then major, say for example, as you can hear, that E flat, that works to take us to, and the pull from going from 5 to 1 in terms of your ear, that is justified. That makes sense by the time we get here. But all the other chords, it did sound a bit clunky, especially when you went to use the minor options. Check it out. So, you're knocking at your door. The majors are fine, but then no, you want to keep it a bit more open, a bit more ambiguous, i.e. he's knocking at your door. There we go. Yeah, you want to keep it more open as you transition through the keys. So think about it like this. When you're in the key of D, we're going, let's go back to this. So we're going major, major in terms of the circle of fifths. Because remember, we're going to have D, G, C, F, B flat. Those are our passing chords. So we're going to be playing D and G as majors, C, F and B flat as suspended chords, and then ultimately we're going to arrive on E flat as a major. So slowly it would be something like this. I'm going to stay in the key of E flat just for now to show you this. All right, so coming out of the verse, you see, hear me knocking at your door. Major, sus, sus. Yeah, and now you just calling out my name, and he does a kind of sus, and you know, which is a nice option to know, to be honest, going from chord 1 to chord 4, because ultimately he could have just done, you just call out my name, and you know, but he's using once again the idea, the back door of circular fifths. So think about this. A fifth, this represents the 5 of A flat, and A flat is our next destination chord. So it perfectly makes sense to include this suspended chord. It's like a warm hug to put you in a direction. You're not quite pushed in that direction. You're just placed. That's super warm, and then it takes you down to our A flat. Yeah, so creating a sus chord in terms of our 5, as we did when we changed key, is a really good option to have, playing rather than a major, but utilizing sus chords. And it gets really creative when you start to use it in other contexts. For example, like here, going from chord 1 to chord 4, and thinking, okay, if this is our destination, what is the 5th away from A flat? It'll be E flat, and we're already there. You just go up, and then the sus chord. We create that sus chord, simply put, on our right hand. We're just going to take the octave and go down the tone and play a major of that, and then transition to A flat. So there you go, some beautiful passing chords, but all utilizing the same concept, which is circle of fifths. However, you don't just want to be able to just play this in the key of D and then go to the key of E flat, because when you're playing piano in general, you might want to move, for example, from the key of F to G flat, or the key of G to A flat, or the key of B to C, or the key of C to D flat. My point is this: you don't want to be limited to just being able to just play this in one key. You want to be able to practice throughout all of the 12 keys, and just take your time to do it systematically. One thing that has helped me a lot is playing these exercises, taking the time and playing these chords and making them exercises, I should say. So learning chord progressions and making them into exercises that I can apply in other keys. I'll give you an example straight away. Let's go to the key of, what should we do? Key of C. Let's go to the key of C. Going from the key of C to the key of D flat. So if I actually go back to the key of D originally, if I know that we're in the key of D, so the chord progression was as follows when we started the verse. So if we wanted to break this down, it would be 7. So I'm going to relate all this in terms of the key of D. It's just kind of helpful, generally speaking, in terms of a holistic picture. So we have 7, going to our 3 as a major. Then we're going to go to chord 6, and then we're going to be playing this 3, like our minor 9, going to the 6, and then playing the dominant or the major version of the 6, and going to chord 2, first inversion of chord 1, going to G, moving to A, and I'll give you the words as well, it would be easier. So we're coming out of the verse, so keep your head together and call my name out loud, oh, and soon you hear me knocking at your door. And And then we know to change key, we're going to have 5 steps. The first 2 are majors. That's the first step in terms of the circular fifths. The next step is going to be major. So this is going to be a major. The next one's going to be major. If you notice, I'm using some inversions to help as well. Then for the next 3, it's sus chords. So C sus. I'll play it here. F sus. B flat sus. Yeah, so there's 5 notes that we need to be able to change key from where we are in terms of finishing on this 5 in terms of the key that we were in before our modulation. So coming out of this D, and as soon you hear me knocking at your door. So the next 2 are major, 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 sus, sus, sus. And you just come, etc. So let's go to the key of C and let's establish this verse. So that'd be probably the first step to do. That I would encourage you to do. Establish the verse. Be able to play the verse competently in this key. So it'd be here. Keep it together and call my name out loud. Oh, soon you hear me knocking at your door. Alright, let's look at this. So the first 2 steps of the circular fifths, which will be as follows. 1, 2 will be major. So it will be a major, major, then a sus, a sus, a sus, a suspended chord. And that A flat is going to be our 5 of our D flat major. So that's what we need. Wonderful. So we're going to go from, and soon you hear knocking at your door. Major, 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 sus, sus, sus. And it'll probably be helpful to do some inversions. At the moment it sounds a little bit clunky. So I would do something like this. So if we're coming out of that G, I'll go, I'll do that. And then I know I've got B flat next, so I'll go sus, sus. Something like that. Yeah. And let's make sure I've got my key set up correctly. Yes, see. As soon you hear me knocking at your door. So right here, check it out. Major. And then you just go out my etc, etc. And doing this same process, taking the time to really put this in all 12 keys will help you so much in terms of your overall understanding, and also being able to apply this, generally speaking, in terms of your music making, specifically if you want to move and transition to another key that is a semitone away. It's a super good takeaway using circular fifths. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.